Hello, and thanks for coming along to And We Have an Office Dog, the digital agency podcast where we talk to agency owner-directors and learn more about what makes them tick. From the things that make them similar to the things they'd rather have known sooner, where they've had success and where they've learned some hard lessons. All will be revealed with your host, Chris Simmons, the Agency Accelerator, and he'll be talking to a different awesome agency person in each episode, asking them 4 questions and seeing where the conversation takes us over the next 25 minutes. Okay, so let us begin. Over to you, Chris.
Thanks, voiceover guy. And on the podcast, so we've got Kevin. How you doing, Kevin?
Pretty good. Great to be here. Excited for this conversation.
So thanks very much for coming along all the way from stormy US of A, I believe. It's just been horrible and stormy and sticky here today. I think I pressed all of the buttons wrong when I first started this, so thanks for your patience. So Kevin, you run KNB Online. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I've been really fortunate to be just in the digital marketing space for a long time. And just kind of, during that, just kind of saw a need in the market to have, I'd say, like a smaller agency where, it's not so much about like churn and burn type of thing where like, I'm deeply involved. I love marketing, and just, being able to be that, I'd say, guiding light to a lot of, entrepreneurs. And giving them honest feedback because one downside in digital marketing space is there's a lot of, I'd say, snake oil salesmen or really good salesmen who have no idea how to do marketing, and they sell a lot of these folks in packages and they just get no results. So that's where I say, like, we're a bit different. We're smaller. I'm very particular about kind of who I want to work with because I want to make sure that I can get them results.
Yeah, and you say you've been in the industry for quite a while. I was making a good look at your website, and I noticed that a good few of the team have got a decent amount of experience as well. So how long's the agency been running? If you've been doing in this space for 20 plus years?
Yeah, so everybody on the team, I feel like they're all A players. So I've been really selective with the folks kind of keep around. Hire slow and fire quick type of thing, especially in the agency world. So I've been really kind of keen on that. So like my background is really initially like SEO, affiliate marketing, and then from that I was able to kind of be in charge of marketing for 2 different kind of e-commerce sites. One was Planet Shoes. They sold shoes online, did about like 10, 15 million by the time I left. And then I ended up helping launch candy.com, which they were at the time like the largest like candy supplier online.
All right.
So it's just really kind of like, during all that, time I had kind of the agency on the side. And then right when I decided to kind of leave Candy.com, then I kind of want to get serious about, the agency. That's where I really started kind of, build things up. So I've been like on both sides of it where like, hey, like you're buying agency services and then, maybe on the other side by kind of seeing that, need, I'd say, for really like honest and, folks that actually kind of know what they're doing. So that's where like everybody on the team, like, we're small, but everybody just does a really, really good job.
And you need that, like you say, you hired A players, and I think there's a distinction in quite a lot of agency land, should we say, where you can tell the difference between agencies that have done that and agencies that have built based on, let's call it a traditional model, where the agency itself is actually built on an awful lot of lower end staff, should we say? I don't mean that in to say that they're bad people, but they work on a scale basis of lots and lots of juniors, should we say?
Yeah, I mean, and that's a problem that actually happens at like a lot of big agencies, where again, like they just have good salespeople, and then they end up handing it off to these junior people that have no idea what they're doing. And again, I don't blame them. It's just like you learn from experience. There's only so much you can learn in a course or whatever. And the other, downside is that obviously there's a lot of folks pumping out these courses on how to start an agency, and they give everybody a bad name because, they just, they guarantee the world to people. Many times, like, I'm talking because I take all the sales calls. So I'm very low volume. I want to make sure that, we can have a big upside with the client. So, I review things, and I look at a lot of these accounts that like these big agencies are running. It's like this person had no idea what they're doing, like
Mm,
at
mm.
all. And
Yeah.
that's obviously the downside of the agency, because a lot of them they're watching like Grant Cardone and guys like that, where it's like 10x, 10x, and they hire a massive amount of people that just don't know what they're doing, and which is
Yeah.
unfortunate. And the business owner is the one that gets like the bad end of the stick on that, because they're paying for somebody that really is not seasoned. They don't know what they're doing. Because you think about it, I mean, like a lot of industries, you need like a license to do it. Like you want to be a doctor, you got to be licensed, got to go to school. A dentist, same thing. Marketing, where the stakes could be really high if you have a fat finger on something where you could spend a lot of money and see no results.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So tell me, in all the years that the agency's been running, um, what do you think has been one of the biggest successes that you guys have seen?
Probably the big is just kind of the results we've been able to get for some clients. I got
Hmm.
a client that sold kitchen cabinets of all things online, and they saw a really great return at that time. I think it was like over 500K in sales on 14,000 ad spend. Another really good
Wow.
client during kind of the COVID times, where we generated over $1 million in the first like 43 days, and they had a really good ROAS. They were making money like hand over fist. Um, so it's those are some of like the best returns. I definitely would mention that it doesn't always happen. It always comes
Yeah.
down to the right offer. And I'd say like one of the important things that I've just learned over the time, it's like you got to be selective. You got to make sure that
Mm.
you can get results. They have a good offer, because if they don't, you can have the best assets in the world, the best targeting, but if it's not a good product fit for the market, nobody's going to buy.
Mm.
And then you're the
And
one to
and
blame for it.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and again, like it kind of comes back to what you said earlier, that you can be and you are a little bit picky about who you work with. So, are there things that you do once the lead comes in that kind of give you that indicator before it goes too far down the road and upsets anyone?
Yeah, so like I have really good targeting with like my ads. So basically, when we have some capacity, I'm able to bring somebody on. I turn my ads on, and
Hmm.
so like I know if I get on calls with people, like they're like 80% qualified. So really, it's like I have just like genuine calls with people, kind of like this, talking about their business and really trying to
Hmm.
help and educate them. So things like I'm trying to kind of get out of them. One, it's like, are they like easy to work with type of thing? Like are they cool?
Yeah,
Is this somebody like I'd like to have a conversation with? Because I'm in constant communication with these folks, and they are with folks in my team as well. So it's really about just kind of talking to them, helping them, and just making sure that after that conversation, like, do I think I can help them? And if I think I can, then I want to send them a proposal. If not, I definitely let them know. And then sometimes when
yeah.
it's like a like a drop shipper, like I know I just can't help them right out of the gate. So then I just kind of let them know that, hey, like you don't do paid ads because you're not going to get results with it, type of thing.
Yeah, and honesty often saves people the pain later, and it does cost a lot of money when you churn a client. So, if you go back in time to when you were setting up, is there any advice that you'd give your younger, just starting out in agency world self?
Yeah, I mean, I think this would be what I'm doing now, which is like be really selective.
Mm,
Think more deeply about who you're going after, why. Like, is it a good offer? Can we actually get results? Because it's very front loaded doing work, and the last thing you want to do is commit and then not get that person result. Because if not, you're not going to make money. Because very many times, like the way I have a lot of my deals is I have a flat monthly fee plus a percentage of either managed ad spend or ROAS. So I got to make sure that we're going to have something that can really scale, to be able to get them results, or ROAS. Because I always really like trying to get the ROAS if it's something that's like trackable. That way,
mm,
me and everyone in the team were more aligned to their success,
mm.
because like they're coming to us and other digital marketers to get them results. If you don't get them results, you failed. Plain and
Yeah,
simple.
yeah, and I'm guessing, and I I've not been delivering services like this for a little while now, but um, how much more difficult do you think it's going to be to sort of prove the return on ad spend and things like that when GA4 changes and some of these platforms kind of follow suit from a cookies point of view?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think like GA4, like I think that build out is honestly like horrible. I mean, it's so buggy. Um,
Mm.
I mean, really, I think that the thing that really hit more was the Apple privacy tracking.
Yeah.
That really hit things really hard. Facebook, or Meta as I call them now, I'd say has definitely done a really good job with kind of figuring things out. I think really where there's more potential like issues long term is the fact that, in the e-commerce space, more and more people are kind of buying things from Amazon.
Mm.
So like they see the ad, and then because pretty much everybody has like an Amazon app, at least in the US, they're seeing it and like they're going direct to like the Shopify store, and then they're buying it on Amazon. So in that case, the attribution is like gone. You don't have any attribution, and the system can't
Mm.
optimize. Um, like they did come out with something called like Buy with Prime, where you can add it on your Shopify store. And I have one client that we're like testing it on, and we see upwards of like 40 to like 60% of
Mm.
purchases are happening from people that are clicking that. So when that happens, the attribution doesn't go back to Facebook and the platforms like that. So that's really where I'd say the one thing that I've been doing is really kind of educating, a lot of these business owners about,
Mm.
you cannot be as focused on one channel and the ROAS as you were in the past.
Yeah.
All the platforms work together, and you got to look overall. Hey, what is my overall marketing spend? What is our overall revenue? Is it increasing? If yes, probably really good chance that's directly correlated, to the marketing efforts.
And the trouble with that, in a sense, is that it becomes a digital marketing version of half of our ads are working, but we're not sure which half. Um,
Correct.
it'd be interesting. So so for season at the time of recording for this, things are just about to kind of kick off with GA4 in particular. But hopefully you'll come back in a year or so's time for season 2, and we can talk about the actual developments in the agency that have been based around that, because it'd be interesting to see, how a business which does report performance measures has kind of adapted some of those things, some of the narratives and stuff. So hopefully have you back for that.
Yeah.
What do you think, since setting up the agency? What's been one of the things that you kind of did? I say wrong, but one of the lessons that you learned quite quickly, and you've now sort of, that's been a warning shot, should we say?
Yeah, no, and good question. And I'll just go back to like the previous on GA4. Like one thing that we've been doing, and I think a lot of marketers need to be doing, is leveraging other tracking besides GA4 and Google
Mm,
Analytics. Like I use one called like AnyTrack, what helps with conversion API or Segmetrics. So really, it's going to be leveraging other tools like that are still going to
mm.
be tracking, unlike GA4. And then kind of your question, could you say that again?
Yeah. So is there anything that you've done in the formation up to now of the agency that's kind of been a hard lesson that's been learned, but something that you've now sort of built into the business?
Yeah. Yeah, no, good. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, that's probably going to be like when it really started out, I tried to like help everybody type of thing,
Mm.
and bring them on where it's like, hey, like I could figure it out type of thing.
Yeah.
And
Build the plane whilst you're flying it.
yeah, so that's really where like I've learned, you got to think more deeply, especially to offer who you're targeting and be more selective. Um, because, there's so many people that just don't live by that, and they just want the
Mm.
sale, and they're just say, "Hey, I'll figure it out later." I always, especially in the past, when I talk to people, like I want to always just make sure that I can get them results. And
Yeah.
just with a lot of the changes that I'd say that has happened with like the iOS privacy, that has made it a lot harder. That's like where, like I won't really take on drop shippers, because it just is not going to work. And that's just where like I'm gonna be able to identify areas where it's going to be really difficult, where like the chances of being successful are really low. So that's really where I build that into, say, the sales process up front, where
Mm.
I'm trying to stop any of that, because like it honestly pains me when we bring a client on and we can't get them results. Because, like I said, I mean, it's a failure. It's on me for bringing them in and thinking that we could get results. So it's really just kind of, you know, like I said, just being selective, and that was something that I definitely wasn't in the beginning,
Mm.
and just kind of, you know, building that into that sales process up front, so that way we don't get into situations like that.
And you mentioned a moment ago when you're in a place where you can take another client on, you switch your ads on. The assumption there is obviously the ads are targeted, which I very much likely, given that that's what you do. You are targeting properly. But how did you get to a point where you knew who your audience was in such a way? Because so many agencies sell everything to everyone and do everything for everyone. How did you get to a point where you could say that's the customer?
Yeah, really good question. I mean, it's really just from doing and just thinking about who are like the customers that I really get results for, like who do I like working with, and then it's a
Mm,
matter of kind of finding that targeting and then crafting that message to get them in. Um,
mm,
and you know, that's the other thing. I mean, there's a lot of agencies that like they can't get clients for themselves from paid ads, which is like, it's like, what? How are you trying to do this for other people? It's actually where, like, you know, I take a lot of pride in that, where it's like, hey, if I couldn't get clients from me, how on earth would I be able to get it for somebody else? And there's just a lot of agencies out there that you know, don't like, they have those horrible ads, and all they're doing is like spamming people, and
mm.
you know, then that's the other thing that this kind of, you know, gives our agents, our space that we're in, just like a bad name,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of folks like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, I mean, I guess if you know the solutions that you drive and what the gains are from that point of view, you can look at the pains and the issues that those clients would have, and it isn't as simple as we just want a better return on our ad spend. It is we want to hit our targets, or we want to grow based on the business's strategy, and we want to make sure that I look good and get my bonus and things like that.
Yeah,
Um, and most ads that I see, especially for digital agency services, are the short tail keyword type thing where it's just like SEO, SEO agency,
exactly. Yeah,
um, not the stuff that kind of pre-qualifies them in a sense, because like you say, you want to know before you get to the pitching process, before you put a proposal together, that they aren't a drop shipper or a person with no budget that can't be helped. So knowing the audience and catering for that in your ads is massively key. So
yeah.
let's say there's someone listening now and they're thinking, do you know what? I've been listening to Kevin's podcast, and this is it. I've decided I'm setting up an agency. Tomorrow is my first day of getting my agency building in place. I'm starting from tomorrow. They knock on your door, Kevin, and they say, "What's one piece of advice that you'd give me before I get going?" What would it be?
I would honestly say don't do it. To be honest, it's not for everybody, and I want to tell you why. Because it's, you know, starting out, you know, it can be really difficult. You can either, you know, grow too fast, type of thing. Your quality goes down. Probably like the hardest thing is juggling clients.
Mm,
You know, it can be really difficult, especially starting out. I mean, starting out, you got to be, you know, the salesperson. You got to do like the inbound marketing. You're going to have tremendous ups and downs, because, especially starting out, you know, you're going to live and die by those first few clients. You know, and that's going to be
mm,
stressful beyond belief. But like, if you're somebody who doesn't give up, you know, you're willing to be okay with the ups and downs, you know, then do it. Agencies can be quick to get some clients, but could be
mm.
just as quick to lose them, and that's really where being able to juggle so many things, you know, starting out,
Yeah,
tends to be really different. That's why I say, like don't do it. Try to get into something else, because it's absolutely. I feel
yeah,
like, you know, a sea filled of red. You know, like they say, where it's always the people are kind of chomping at the bit.
mm,
Because
mm.
even like when you get results for clients, these clients are going to always have some other agency chirping in their ear, sweet nothings of how they can get better results.
Exactly. And I often say to people when I have these kinds of conversations with them that champagne on the way up and punches in the face on the way down.
Yeah,
And it's easy to like champagne. Um, the,
yeah,
uh, the key thing is you've got to be able to take a punch. So yeah, resilience is a massive aspect of running an agency, and I think that people getting into the industry or getting into agencies and learning to lead, there's a heck of a lot of there's more punches in the face than there are sips of champagne.
Yeah.
But if you know what your plan is, if you know who you are, if you know what you're selling and who you're selling it to, and you've got a decent sort of value set and cultural sort of agreements internally, then it's easier to enjoy the good times.
Yeah. You say it, perfectly with that. I mean, just say like there's just going to be tremendous ups and downs.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Absolutely. Kevin, it's been wonderful having you on the podcast, and hopefully we'll speak in a year's time and we'll be able to talk about all of those tracking changes and what developments the agencies have to put in place there. But thanks so much for coming along.
Absolutely, and thank you, for having me. I hope this was helpful for anybody listening. Hope I didn't, discourage you. Agency.
Oh, they stopped listening the second you said don't start an agency, Kevin.
Probably. No, I mean, I just want to be honest. I mean, I live in it. I don't have a huge agency, and most people starting out will definitely be on that smaller end.
Yeah, absolutely. And in our next episode, we'll be speaking with another agency leader to hear their story and the lessons they've learned along the way. And thanks very much for listening.